I really like the way this leg looks, but I'm concerned that it's not going to be stable, so the final design is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to incorporate a twisted column of blocks similar to the bending forms that I used to make the two pieces of steam bent cherry on the inside of those, and that will house a piece of all thread that will be able to put tension on the two, or compression rather, on the two pieces of cherry and keep them from racking and hopefully make the table a whole lot more solid. And here I'm laying out the profile of that stack of twisted blocks. It's going to be made out of walnut, and here I'm cutting the pieces for the feet that are the largest. The twisted column gets larger towards the bottom and is largest at the feet. And I'm going to incorporate some pieces of cherry to kind of blend the transition from the steam bent and smooth cherry pieces to the stack of twisted blocks. So I clamp that in, clean it up with the block guide. Now I work on the top of that column that's made up of smaller blocks, a little over an inch. I was getting low on material, so in order to make the most of those strips, I had put a secondary cross fence on and used a spring clamp to be able to safely make this cut and keep my fingers away from it while still making use of the last little bit. So I clean those up and mark the centers. And then drill a hole that first I used to align, and then later will be used to house the all thread. I clean the burrs up with the countersink. So in order to twist these, I wanted something that was more accurate than the method I used to make the forms that you can see in my first video in the series. So I thought that using some sticks to make the twist more pronounced, that I could measure, keep a constant offset at the end of those sticks. I thought this might work. It did not. It was just not possible to get my pin nailer in there to hold things steady, so I came up with something a little bit different. After some frustration. Used my bench vise and taped some blocks in to hold the bottom piece. That allowed me to put a top piece on the piece clamped in, and then hold a ruler flush to the top piece and mark a line that I could use for all the subsequent pieces to keep the same twist as they move down the column. And with a little dowel instead of the all thread, I could get the pin nailer in to hold them in place. And I used the all thread to clamp this up. I did in groups of 5 to make sure I was getting clamping pressure on while the glue hadn't set up. So now I work on the tapered part. It starts to get larger towards the bottom of the column, so I need to cut a bunch of different sizes. So here's all 4 of those bottom tapered pieces for each of the legs. Mark the centers, drill them out. And then set up the twists in a similar manner on the vise. So you can see that column grow and twist as each piece is added. And that's what it ends up looking like. Now for the feet that I'll join up to the steam bent cherry, I wanted them to have a rounded curve where they meet the floor. So I used my French curves to find a curve that I liked, that I could then trace onto the stack. And cut out with a bandsaw. And to do the same or similar curve on the other sides, I just traced a line on the curved part, and this makes for a more aggressive curve that doesn't quite come up as far. But that's perfect for the longer lengths. I like the way that it ended up looking. Then I did the twisted offsets the same way and clamped those up, and now the feet are ready. In the next video I'll show you how this all comes together.